My parents humiliated me at my sister's graduation. Getting accepted to my dream university on a full scholarship was the proudest moment of my life. I had worked tirelessly, pushing myself beyond limits, without my parents' encouragement or support. This victory was mine alone, and for the first time I felt truly independent. When I told my family, I expected some kind of reaction. Pride, excitement, maybe even surprise. But their response was lukewarm at best. My parents exchanged glances, as if struggling to comprehend that I had achieved something remarkable. Elena, my older sister, the golden child, read over the acceptance letter twice, almost in disbelief. And then my mother spoke. "Well, it's a good thing you got that scholarship," she said flatly. "We didn't save any money for your college anyway." I felt something inside me crack. I shouldn't have been shocked. My parents had paid for Elena's tuition in full, never hesitating to invest in her future. But when it came to me, I wasn't even an afterthought. That night I made a decision. I was done. I packed my bags and left for college without looking back. I cut off contact with my parents and Elena completely. No long-winded explanations, no dramatic goodbyes, just silence. For the first time in my life I was free. College was everything I had hoped for. I worked part-time to support myself, built friendships with people who actually cared about me, and focused on my studies. It was liberating to exist outside of my family's shadow, to be me without their constant comparisons and judgments. At first, my parents bombarded me with messages. I ignored them. Their emails were filled with guilt trips. "Family sticks together. You're being selfish. We raised you better than this." But not once did they acknowledge the way they had treated me. Not once did they apologize. So I stayed silent. 3 years passed. And then, yesterday, I got an email with a subject line that made my stomach drop. "Call us immediately. It's an emergency." I hesitated. Despite everything, I couldn't shake the nagging fear that something was really wrong. After a long moment, I unblocked my parents' number and called them. My father answered on the first ring. His voice was serious. "It's about Elena," he said. "She's in trouble." I gripped my phone tightly as my father's words sank in. "Elena is addicted to drugs. It's gotten really bad." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My sister, the golden child, the one they held above me my entire life, was struggling with heroin addiction. It felt impossible. Elena had always been the responsible one, the one who excelled at everything. But my parents' concern wasn't just about Elena's well-being. It became painfully clear as they spoke. They were more worried about their reputation. "People can't find out about this," my mother said, her voice trembling. "It would ruin everything." "Ruin what, exactly? Their perfect illusion of a family?" My father's tone turned sharp. "You didn't introduce her to drugs, did you?" I almost dropped the phone in shock. "Are you serious?" I snapped. "I haven't even spoken to Elena in years. And you think I, of all people, had something to do with this?" Their suspicion cut deep, but it wasn't surprising. When their perfect daughter fell from grace, they needed someone to blame. And I was the easiest target. "You need to come home," my mother pleaded. "We don't know what to do. Maybe you can talk some sense into her." I let out a bitter laugh. "I can't help her. She needs professional treatment." The moment I said the word rehab, my father bristled. "Absolutely not," he said. "We are not sending her to one of those places. Imagine what people would think." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My sister was drowning, and they were too busy worrying about appearances to throw her a lifeline. They expected me to help her, to keep up the family's carefully maintained facade. They wanted me to step back into their world and pretend that everything was fine, just like Elena had for years. I told them I needed time to think. But the truth was, I already knew my answer. I wasn't sure I could go back. For days I wrestled with my emotions. A part of me felt guilty. Elena was my sister and she was suffering. But another part of me knew that stepping back into my parents' world would mean sacrificing the peace I had worked so hard to build. Then, after reading countless messages encouraging me to reach out directly, I made a decision. I texted Elena. Her response came hours later, hesitant but open. She agreed to a phone call. When I finally heard her voice, it was barely recognizable. She sounded fragile, like a shadow of the strong, confident person I once knew. Slowly she opened up. Her addiction hadn't started overnight. It had crept in over the years, beginning when she entered the high-pressure world of corporate law. The expectations were suffocating, working harder, proving herself, never slowing down. She was the Elena everyone admired. The one who always had her life together. Until she didn't. The pressure became unbearable. At first, she used recreational drugs just to take the edge off. But before she realized it, she was trapped. I didn't tell anyone, she admitted, her voice breaking. I knew how they'd react. I was terrified of disappointing them. I listened in silence, my heart aching. For years I had envied Elena. I thought she had everything I didn't, our parents' love, their approval. But now I saw the truth. She had been just as trapped as I was. While I had suffered from being overlooked, she had been crushed under the weight of perfection. We had both been victims of our parents' toxic expectations, just in different ways. I should have told you sooner, she whispered. I wish you had, I admitted. I would have been there for you. We both sat in silence, the weight of our shared pain settling between us. I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know if I could forgive my parents, or if I could fully trust Elena again. But at that moment, none of that mattered. Because for the first time in years, I saw my sister. Not the perfect daughter, not the golden child, but the real her. And I wasn't going to let her face this alone. This story teaches us the importance of self-worth, setting boundaries, and prioritizing our well-being. Sometimes, walking away from toxic relationships, even family, is necessary for personal growth and peace. It also sheds light on how the pressure of expectations can silently break even the strongest individuals. True love and support come from understanding, not appearances. If this story resonates with you, let us know in the comments. Have you ever had to step away from a toxic situation for your own well-being? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful real-life stories. Your support helps us continue sharing these important messages.